Today I'm going over the writing process with my students. They are actually going to be turning in their thesis statement and outline of their third essay right before Thanksgiving break, because it is Thanksgiving this Thursday, so I won't be teaching this Thursday. Today is the only day that I have with my students, but I will be taking advantage of the break, grading all of their essays, grading all of the assignments, and just catching up on grading in general, just because I feel like I'm really behind. I also will be using Thanksgiving break to catch up with my own personal assignments. But the good thing about going over the writing process today and kind of pushing back all of the due dates that kind of happened last week is that I'm going to be able to talk about the writing process and kind of talk about the difference between editing and revising. Yesterday in class, my peers and I, my fellow TAs and I, the cohort, we were talking about revision in final portfolios. And even though I still have not released the prompt to my students, it gives me a chance to revisit the prompt and see what it is that I want to edit and figure out how I'm going to be able to grade their essay. I might just print out another version of the rubrics. So I'm going to have like 3 rubrics and ask like 5 questions on it. Does this do this? Yes. Okay, you get credit, kind of thing. Another thing about pushing back the due dates is it gives my students a little bit more time to work on their essay, find some additional sources, and actually listen to or take the notes that I gave them on their annotated bibliography and apply that to their final research, to their research paper. And I can kind of answer any questions for them. I think well, I'm just going to take advantage of that today. At the end of the class, at the last 15-20 minutes of class, I will let my students fill out the student evaluation form on me, which is a little terrifying, but that's something that's going to be there. And I will open myself up for questions beyond discussing the writing process with them. And I kind of want them to use this as a moment to reflect on their own writing. So I might I'm going to create a Canvas page for them to talk about the semester and how the semester has changed their writing, because it has to have changed. So I'm going to have them do that. And I'm going to also just discuss another extra credit, but I'm going to discuss the extra credit opportunity and open it up for my students to submit any of the work that it is that they need to work on. But yeah, I'm slowly preparing myself for just the big bundle of portfolio essays, just because I know there's gonna be a lot. But yeah, I'm excited for that. That's it for right now. I will be back after class to discuss what I may have learned about the class and to discuss anything else that came up. I just taught my class and I kind of went over a little bit more than I anticipated today. I provided my students information about the final portfolio because it is coming to the end of the semester. I told them that I would upload, and actually I should write this down before I forget. But I told my students that I would upload final portfolio prompt before the end of the weekend. I will create a checklist for them to double check their stuff. And I did tell them that I would be doing check-ins with their portfolio to make sure that they have everything. They did know what it is that the portfolio is asking about, because I have mentioned it in the past, and I gave them an outline of what it is. So basically the rough draft, that they have turned in for peer review, the draft that they submitted for edits for me, and then a newer version of their draft, so I can see it, and then a reflection. And that's for 2 essays, actually, and the reflection. And today I gave them a chance to learn about the writing process. But the way that I do with my class is I ask them the questions, they answer that, I write it down on the board, and then I present it in a PowerPoint. That way I know if they know what it is that I'm discussing. Most of the time the students do take photos of what it is that I'm writing on the board, so that's really good. As far as the PowerPoint goes, I utilize the attention of my students through the form of gifts. So most of the time for this presentation that I did, PowerPoint presentation had gifts of SpongeBob and his writing process. So like there was an episode where he's writing about an essay on what not to do at a stop sign, and another essay on him just like brainstorming. So I use those a lot. And I also went over the difference between revision and editing, and one student knows exactly what it is because she's the one who's been actively participating, and usually she's very quiet. So I was really proud about that. My students also turned in their outlines. 1 or 2 didn't, but I told them to email it to me because I do want to see their thesis before their essay, so I can ask them questions on how to develop it. So that's one thing. And then I almost ran out of time in class, but I briefly, very, very briefly, talked about the different types of quotes and gave examples of like what a direct quote is, what an in-text quote is, what a modified paraphrase and a block quote is. And I gave a couple examples. Some I wrote on the board. Another one I just pulled up an example of my own writing, just for the block quote because it's hard to find them with the proper format. And I left the last 15 minutes of class for my students to fill out the evaluation form, the student evaluation forms on their professor, me. And I waited outside of the classroom because I left my stuff in and wanted to have a little bit of time to erase everything on the board and turn off the projector and everything, because I had the projector on with the website that they were supposed to be accessing it. And within 5 minutes, they filled out the form and filed out of the classroom. But those students who... About 2 or 3 of my students did come to me to talk about their assignment and issues about that. So this is... The good thing is for students who know that they're not doing well, they are going to go seek approval from their professor in a different way. But I do know that for next semester, I kind of have to be a little bit more tougher and be very strict with the deadlines because they are now in the B section. But that's one way that I would revise it. And then I would definitely add a cell phone policy. I will allow technology and I will encourage technology, but not cell phone usage. Unless it's taking a picture of something, which I will allow. But that's something for next semester. But overall, this semester, this week, this class in particular was a very good class, I believe. I did give my students an opportunity to reflect on their own writings during class and had them turn that in just so I can read it and kind of ask them questions to kind of push them to develop even more when it comes to the reflective essay for their portfolio. But that is it for today's teaching log, and until next time, bye!